I warmly welcome all of you for today's session. I hope you're all doing fine. The facilitator for today's program is Her Grace Nitikishori Sakhi Devi Dasi. Nitikishori Mataji is a Bhakti Yoga practitioner who has been actively serving and inspiring others to take up to devotional service. She has completed B.Tech in Information Technology and had worked in Infosys as a software professional for 5 years. She has been teaching the principles of Bhakti Yoga to the youth for the past 6 years and transforming their lives. She is also involved in a broad range of services, such as assisting in management of temple restaurant Shuddhasattva, coordinating and organizing programs in IYS, outreach events such as conducting programs for during Damodar month in blind and old age homes, and offering technical and customer care support for Team Study Gita. She's been practicing Bhakti Yoga for more than 8 years and serves at ISKCON Chennai. She has also completed her Bhakti Shastri course from the famous Mayapur Institute. Mataji is a very warm, humble, loving, and a friendly person. She is someone who is service oriented, non judgmental, and cherishes people. She values and appreciates even small acts of service, making her the right person to speak on today's topic, living with gratitude. I hope you all would find today's session useful. IYS is ISKCON Youth Services of ISKCON Chennai Temple. It is a forum created by women, for women, and of women. Here we discuss and learn to practically apply the ancient spiritual wisdom in our modern contemporary lives. We also conduct specially curated sessions to address modern issues with Vedic principles and take pleasure in discussing various aspects of spirituality. If you are unable to attend any of these sessions, you can hear the recording. The link for the recording would be shared in the ISKCON Youth Services WhatsApp group. So if you haven't joined already, I request you to kindly join. The link for the WhatsApp group will be shared on the chat window. In the group, we share spiritually inspiring messages, darshan pictures, and announcements for various programs, events, or festivals. And if you have any questions during the session, you can also post them in the chat window and the facilitator will respond to your questions. If you have any personal queries and if you are uncomfortable sharing, you can write to us in the email ID, which will be shared in the chat window. Also, we request you to fill the feedback form in the end of the session. This will help us serve you better. We value your suggestions and your opinions matter to us. Thank you very much. Now over to you, Niti Kishori Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Um, yeah, just give me a minute. Enable waiting windows. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Anuttama Chitra, for the inspiring and heartwarming welcome. So, I'm very, very grateful to IYS, Sukirti Mataji, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this topic today. Yes, uh, the topic for today is living in gratitude. So I would, initiate this by telling a pastime. This pastime is from Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is about it is a very beautiful pastime about a 5-year-old Dhruva. So one boy named Dhruva. So we will see his, journey in his life. So yes. So let's see the life of Dhruva Maharaj. So there was once a king named Uttanapada. He had two queens, Suruchi and Sunichi. And yeah, before I begin the pastime, I would like to, bring to your notice that there will be life lessons or, some parallel will be drawn from this pastime. So I request you to, be attentive and listen to the pastime fully. Yeah. So yeah, there was once a great king named Uttanapada. He has two queens, Suruchi and Suniti. So he was very dear to his queen Suruchi, and he did not, appreciate much or value much Suniti. And they both had Suruchi had one son named Uttama, and Suniti had a son named Dhruva. So we'll be seeing the life of Dhruva now. Dhruva was 5 years old, and one day he approached his father, to sit in his lap like a 5-year-old boy. So you know how much attention a small kid would expect. So he wanted to approach his father and sit in his lap, get that love. Suruchi, his stepmother, sees this from far, and she stops Dhruva from going to his father. So the father was in the throne, and she stops Dhruva from going to his father, and she says that you don't deserve to sit in your father's lap or in the throne. So just imagine a 5-year-old boy, and his heart was completely broken. And further she continues like, you don't deserve, and if you want your desire to be fulfilled, then you worship Supreme Lord Vishnu, and you perform austerity, and then you take another birth, and you should take birth in my womb. Then you will get the opportunity to fulfill your desire. So she says this. Dhruva was very, very angry and upset. She had so much pride because, as I said, the king gave much preference to this queen rather than the other queen. So she had so much pride in her. So that's why she spoke this. And the king did not react to this. And this made Dhruva more angry and upset. So he was crying and he was so fumed with anger. And then he leaves that place. Before he could reach his mother Suniti, the incident, everything, whatever happened, it reached Suniti through the guards. And then Suniti embraces Dhruva, and she pacifies him. The things that she says are like, first she says that you should not think inauspiciousness to your stepmother, because he was so upset. He might curse, or he might think bad for her. So she says that you should not think inauspiciousness, and then you should not think bad for her, because thinking bad for others will be inflicted on us. It would counteract. So don't do this. And then she continues the saying that what she said is right. All your desires will be fulfilled by worshipping Supreme Lord Vishnu only. And then she says that how in the past, because Dhruv Maharaj is not any ordinary child. His great grandfather is Brahma, Lord Brahma himself. So he is coming from such a big heritage. So she says that how in the past, his grandfather, his great grandfather, everybody, they were so much benefited by worshipping Lord Vishnu. So she says all this, and then Dhruv Maharaj becomes so determined to see Lord Vishnu. He has this desire that he should have a kingdom, because he has been insulted by his stepmother. So he desires that he should have a kingdom greater than his great grandfather. So this was his desire. So then what he does, he immediately leaves the place. He leaves the kingdom and he goes to the forest. And in the forest, he meets Narada Muni. So Narada Muni is a very he travels around the world. He is a celestial being, like he can go anywhere. So he sees the small little boy in the forest, and he approaches him, and he asks like, what happened, why are you here in the forest? And then when Dhruv Maharaj says, and then he responds, he says that like, you're just a small boy, why would such things affect you? Like, you should just leave, like you should just accept and leave it, and you should just continue playing as a small boy. That's what you're supposed to do. So Narada Muni advises, and then he says that how it is so difficult to be in the forest or perform austerity, even to please Supreme Lord. It is so difficult for a 5-year-old boy. So this is how Narada Muni tells Dhruv Maharaj, and he is not convinced. Dhruv Maharaj is not convinced, and he tells that no, I am so determined, I want this. So he expresses his desire. And then Narada Muni understands the determination of the small boy, and he feels compassionate to him. And then he instructs Dhruv Maharaj. He instructs Dhruv Maharaj with so many details of how to perform the austerity, how he so first thing he says is like, he should meditate. He should go to the forest Madhuvan, and there he should sit in the banks of Yamuna, and he should take bath 3 times a day in the Kalindi river, and he should sit in a calm and secluded place, and he should perform meditation. He should meditate on the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and he gives the details, the features of that personality he should meditate upon. So he says that how that person, the Supreme Lord, he will be his eyes will be decorated with his eyes will be decorated with nice eyebrows, his nose raised, he has a broad forehead, his form is very youthful, his eyes and lips are pink like the sun, rising sun, his bodily hue is bluish, he wears a garland, body decorated with ornaments, and neck adorned with kaustuba jewel. He is dressed in an yellow silk garment. So Narad Muni, then he instructs that he should chant a mantra named Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He should chant this mantra, meditating on that form of the Lord he described. And then he says that how he should install a deity, Archa Vigraha. We have seen, no, in the temple, the deity form of the Lord, and he should offer fruits, flowers, offer garlands, offer pure water, and get the vegetables from whatever he gets from the forest, and he should perform this worship also. So he hears all the instructions from Narada Muni, and he circumambulates Narada Muni, pays his respect to him, and then he starts to Madhuban. So now Dhruv Maharaj begins his austerity. So as I said, he's just a 5-year-old boy with so much determination, and the austerity that he performs is not so ordinary. So the first month of this austerity, he eats only fruits and berries, and that too once in 3 days. And these fruits and berries are not some sweet, or it is not so palatable. It is grown in the forest, so it is not so tasty or anything. And then the second month, he eats only dry grass and leaves, and that too once in 6 days. And the third month, he drinks only water, so once in 9 days. And the fourth month he stops all the food, water, and he inhales only air, and that too once in 12 days. And fifth month, he controls his breathing, so not even breathing. He controls his breathing and senses and mind, completely concentrated upon the Parabrahma, the form of the Lord. So this is how he does austerity. And then, so his austerity is, almost in a complete stage. And then what happens? The Lord appears. So the Lord appears. Why? Because his austerity had created so much havoc in the universe that the demigods could not take it. So there was so much havoc in the universe. So they approaches the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and there Vishnu could sense that what had happened. So then he tells that it is the severe austerity of my devotee Dhruva. So I'll take care of it, and you can go back to your respective places. And then the Lord takes Garuda Vahan and he comes to Madhuban. And there he appears, the Lord reaches Madhuban, and the form that is there in the meditation of Dhruva Maharaj disappears, and he could see the Supreme Lord Vishnu in front of him. So Dhruv Maharaj is so pleased to see Supreme Lord Vishnu. And similarly, the Supreme Lord Vishnu is so pleased by the austerity of Dhruv Maharaj. And then
not shared the screen. Just 1 minute.
Yeah, just give me a minute.
You go there and Zoom mute.
Yes.
Audio video.
Yes, sorry about it. I had not shared the screen, I believe. So it is shared now. So just give me a minute, because I was going through these slides. So life of Dhruv Maharaj, how, so you could see. So we went through all this. Dhruv Maharaj meets Narada Muni. Dhruv Maharaj begins his austerity, chanting the mantra, and then the Lord Vishnu appears. So yes, so where were we? So yes, Vishnu appears, and then Dhruv Maharaj starts offering various prayers, glorifying the Supreme Lord. So the Lord is very pleased with the prayers. And then Dhruv Maharaj did not ask for his desire, what he had, the kingdom. So he did not ask. But Lord Vishnu knew that. So what he does, he awards the kingdom much greater than his great grandfather, and also like he awards a glowing planet called Pole Star. So and this Pole Star will continue to stay after the end of the world also. And then he says how after performing this austerity, how he can go back to his father, and the father will be ruling the kingdom for some time, and then it will come to Dhruva and Dhruva Maharaj, and then he will be ruling the kingdom for another 36,000 years, and he will not become old. So all this Vishnu gives a detailed thing that how his life will be. So and then Vishnu disappears. So Dhruv Maharaj goes back to his palace, and then as Vishnu said, all this happens, and then 36,000 comes to an end, and after 36,000 years, he resigned his job, like as a king, he resigned his kingdom, and then he goes to Badrikashrama, where he again performs austerity, where he meditates on the Supreme Lord to attain perfection, so to complete his life. So he goes to Badrikashram, and then he is in his meditation and in his severe austerity, tapasya, and then the Vaikunta airplane comes. So with the guards, so they appear before Dhruv Maharaj, and he understands. And then they say that how Lord Vishnu himself has sent this airplane to receive his dear devotee Dhruva. So he was very happy and pleased, and and then he looks at them. He offers his respect. He circumambulates the airplane, and then he thinks in his mind that my mother, she is the reason, she is the guiding force that how I could do that austerity, how I became a devotee. So he felt so much gratitude to his mother, but he could not say it to the guards. There was Nanda and Sunanda, as you see in the picture, so they are there. So he remembers this, and they understood his mind. And then they say that they show the another airplane where Suniti, his mother, is already there boarded in the airplane, and he sees and he was happy. Yeah. So yes, so Dhruv Maharaj remembers the gratitude, like he feels grateful to his mother after 36,000 years. So many things happened, right? Like he was ruling the kingdom, he has children, grandchildren, so many things. But at the end of his life, he could remember the help, the guidance that he received from his mother. Yes, so this is the pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam. So all these are for us to understand and accept, so that we live our life with the life lessons what we derive from those things. And then yeah, so ending the story here, the pastime here, and I would request you to do a poll. So we heard about Dhruv Maharaj's gratitude to his mother. So let us see where we are in expressing our gratitude to our fellow beings, like our own people. So I would request you to do the polling. I give you like maybe 30 seconds. So done. No, no. I could see some of you are still doing. Yeah, I guess it's done. Yeah. So yes, Hare Krishna. So we end the polling here, and yeah, so we see 78% of you have expressed. That's very good. Yeah. And then 63 has expressed your gratitude for your career advice to your sibling. And yeah, that is very nice. That is so, inspiring to know that you all are being so grateful. Yes. Yeah, in our life sometimes we fail to also, appreciate certain small things in our life. Sometimes it happens, and not always, but whatever I shared was all mostly positive things. But there would be some time where in our life where we are in difficult situation, and that time what do we do? How do we express the same gratitude? Are we not, you know occupied by negative thoughts? So we see how important it is to express our gratitude even for the smallest things, and how it would have an impact later on when we are in a difficult situation. So uh, yeah, so I would like to show you a video clipping. Okay. Am I audible? Can somebody confirm? Hare Krishna. Can somebody confirm if I'm audible? Yeah, okay. Thank you, Priya, Anutama, Nila. Yeah. So I'd like you to show a video clipping, and yeah, I present it here. Please, it takes 1 minute. So please watch it carefully. Just give me a minute. I think the video did not play from the beginning. So just give me a minute. Are you able to move? Yeah, so this is where actually it starts, from the helicopter. Yeah, yes. So, yeah. So, I'm sorry. Yeah. So we saw the video. So I want you to type in the chat window, what is the thought that you got after seeing the video? Like the first thing that came in your mind. So can you please type in the chat window, like what did you felt after seeing the video? Less is more, Ketaki, and we should be thankful to Lord for this life. We should be happy with whatever we have. There's no limit for desire, no greed. We are not satisfied anymore. Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah. So this is something that we also face in our life. Many a times we set our goal, our bar, and we reach there. And after reaching there, yeah, thank you for your answers. Very much appreciated. Human needs nurse. So we reach that, and immediately we set another bar, and we strive so much to reach there. In the meantime, like we forget to feel happy or grateful for what we already did, what we already achieved. When we have happiness, we just celebrate it for a day, isn't it? But when we are in distress, how long do we carry on with that? How much it takes away our valuable time. So much we indulge in so much negativity when there is an issue, but when we reach a goal, we are not happy about it. We are happy for some time, and then we want another thing, and we start working towards that. So there's no end to our goal setting. So it keeps increasing. So did what I said, did it make sense? So do we really do? Can you type yes if you agree to what I said, or no if you're not really? Yeah, thank you. Yes. So hope we are in the same page. Yeah. So today we will be covering these aspects so that we are able to express our gratitude in a better way, even in the tough times. So the overview for today is like we will be seeing the three aspects of gratitude: why be grateful, outcome of not being grateful, and the six challenges that really puts us down in expressing the gratitude. So how to become grateful, and the gratitude expressed by Krishna and his devotees, and the practical tips for daily practice. So we will be covering all this. So the first thing, the three aspects of gratitude. So this is the step where we, before we could reach the gratitude, before we could really apply gratitude. So this is the step-by-step thing. So we recognize. So we recognize the help that we receive from somebody, and we say a thank you. Many a times we tell, right? We thank people for what they did. And then we remember, we recollect from our memory what good we received, what help we received, and we appreciate and we mean a thank you. And then we reciprocate. This is the last step, and gratitude is complete only when we do this reciprocation. So we live a thank you, we live in gratitude. So gratitude is complete only when we reciprocate. So gratitude is not a word, just a word. It is not just a feeling, rather it is an action where we actually reciprocate with the people, and we tell them they are, they hold some value in our life. So we express it. So by the end of the session, we will also see the practical tips of how to reciprocate this gratitude. We will see that. And from Dhruv Maharaj pastime, we saw how he very nicely exhibited all these aspects. Like he recognized and he remembered after 36,000 years, and he reciprocated after 36,000 years. Yeah. So, and I'd like to connect these three aspects of gratitude to our spiritual life, where we connect to Krishna. So we recognize the Supreme Lord Krishna in his Archa Vigraha form, in his deity form, in the temples. And then we remember, we meditate on him by chanting his holy name, hearing his pastimes from Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures. We hear, so we remember. And then we reciprocate with the Lord in the form of services, where we directly serve him, offer prasadam, do arati, so we personally serve him. And interestingly, this gratitude is coming from Krishna only. We see that Krishna possesses 64 qualities, and one of that is gratitude. And we also know that Krishna exhibits everything in its fullest. So gratitude also Krishna exhibits in its fullest. So don't forget, gratitude is the key to improve our spiritual progress. Yes. So we will see now how Krishna reciprocated with a devotee in all these aspects. So there's a wonderful pastime from Mahabharata about, you all would have come across this, because we've been raised, being in India, like we've been raised hearing the pastimes of especially this very famous pastime of disturbing Draupadi in the assembly of Kauravas. So yes, so we all have heard this pastime, and much before this happened, there was something that happened for Krishna to do this leela of giving unlimited sari to Draupadi. So we will see that. So this happens after the Rajasuya Yajna in the Mahabharata. So after the Rajasuya Yajna, where Yudhishthira Maharaj is crowned as the king. So Krishna also attended. Krishna is the main person there in the Rajasuya Yajna, And after that, Krishna was in Indraprastha for some time. So that time, Draupadi got an opportunity to serve Krishna personally. So that time, she one day she made a platter of fruits for Krishna to eat, and she gives it to Krishna, and Krishna takes a knife and he cuts the fruit. So that time, by mistake, like the knife cuts Krishna's finger and he was bleeding. So Draupadi instantly, like she does, and as you know, like Draupadi is no ordinary woman. She is like, we saw Rajasuya Yajna, she is the wife of Yudhishthir Maharaj. So you can imagine the opulence Draupadi would have, and she is wearing a really expensive, silk or sari. And so immediately when Krishna's hand is cut, she without thinking for a moment, she takes the end of her sari and she tears it and she ties in the Krishna's wound, around Krishna's wound. So Krishna was like, yeah, so somebody doing this, like, she did not even think for a moment. So immediately she reacted. So Krishna was very pleased. And then this, he reciprocated, Krishna reciprocated it during the Chirharan, this place where Draupadi was disturbed in the assembly of Kauravas. He gave unlimited saris. He remembered and he reciprocated. So that's how Krishna is. So, and now we will pause it here, the session, and there is an announcement. So may I request the moderator to, yeah. So Ekaleshwari, would you like to?
Hare Krishna. Um, so there has been some suggestions by our participants that they are not able to attend on Saturday evening. Some prefer on Sunday. Some prefer on Saturday. So we would like to know which day you prefer. So please, we have around 60 of us. If we all could fill up the poll, it would be very, very easy for us to decide. If most of you are free on a certain day, then we will continue on that day.
Yeah. I guess yes, still gets done. No? So are we done with the polling?
Yeah,
Mm,
probably just, yeah. So please do. Yes. Okay.
thank you. Yes. So coming again to living in gratitude. So I request you to type in the chat window how being grateful you think it will help in our life. Having the attitude of gratitude help in our life. Please type in the chat window. Do you think it would help? If at all, in what way do you think it would help? Yeah, Raji, gratitude gives good attitude. We will feel satisfied, Diya. It helps for sure, Saindri. Gives enthusiasm and contentment, Apsara. Yeah, it develops positive attitude. Yeah. Thank you very much for your answers. Yes. So, do you see all these things are the positive points? So, being grateful actually helps us. Yeah, Ankita, as soon as we become grateful for one or two things, we find more things to be grateful and life becomes livable. Yeah, very true. Yes. So, we see the importance of having gratitude. So we will see, yeah, so I have jotted down the points, like, yeah, give happiness and it will lower our stress most of the time. At least these modern times, like, people are so much into stress. So being grateful actually lowers the stress. It works and it improves our quality of life. Thank you very much, yeah, for all your answers. So it also helps in building up the relationship, our relationship with our peer members, our family, it becomes stronger. So these are some of the experiences, like, we will get, like, when we are grateful, right? Yes. So by expressing our genuine gratitude, we make others feel valued. They play a major role in our life. So we value them. And similarly, when we are being reciprocated with gratitude, we also feel contentment and fulfillment, and which will actually lower the stress. So that's why I put lower stress. And we similarly, by being grateful, we attract people of such nature. We attract the positive vibes. So let us not postpone gratitude. So and then so yeah, uh, so these are like some of the outcome I feel. And it is also like, whatever science also has said, that how uh, not being grateful actually affects, it brings so much negativity. So what happens when we are not grateful? We actually find fault with people, we envy people, we are dissatisfied, because for gratitude somebody said, yeah, satisfaction. So these are the opposite things that happen when we are not grateful, and our expectation is more. And so we end up having disappointment, a lot of disappointments in life. So these are the outcomes of not being grateful. And we saw how how it helps being grateful, and how not being grateful also brings a lot of negative impacts. And then we will also see how there will be challenging times in our life, right? Maybe our mother or our in-law or our husband doesn't understand us, so we face some challenging situation in our life. So I'd like to draw your attention to these six challenges that we actually face in our life. So this six things Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter. These are the challenges or the qualities that we are bound to this. So none of us here, including me, we are not free from this. This keeps coming in our life. Maybe it takes various different shapes based on our nature, but still it is there. It is in our nature, innate in us. So this first thing, lust. So lust is also called the desire we have, you know, the desire we get. So this desire, when it is not satisfied, it leads to anger. So we have a desire, and when our desire is not fulfilled, we become angry, and angry is so difficult to control also. And then if our desire is satisfied without any hindrance, then it gives rise to greed. We want more. Like in the beginning we saw the video, person is not satisfied with whatever they possess. Though we strive so hard to reach there, still we want more. So greed is there always. And this greed, Srila Prabhupada very nicely he gives in purport in one of his books, Nectar of Devotion. So Nectar of Instruction. So there he says that how if you keep a bag full of rice in a public place, a bird can eat only small quantity, whatever its mouth can hold. But what a human being does, he packs the entire sack and he eats to his heart's content, and he saves it also for later. So that's how human species are so greedy about anything and everything. So we accumulate something and we want more. So and then this greed actually leads to illusion. So we are so covered with whatever we accumulate, and then we are illusion that we forget to discriminate between good and bad. We end up doing sins. We in the process of accumulating more, we don't discriminate between things, and we want more. So this illusion is there, and we accumulate so much, and then what happens? We become proud of whatever we possess, and then this pride leads to envy. We don't want anybody else to have anything greater than what we possess, isn't it? So does it make sense, like how this cycle works? So type in the chat window as if you agree that if you have faced any one of these challenges in your life. Sarveshwari Janava, yes. Kamakshi, yes. Aparna, yes. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. So yes, we all face this thing every now and then in our life. And in Dhruv Maharaj pastime, yeah, thank you very much for your responses. Yeah, so Dhruv Maharaj pastime, we saw these 6 challenges have been exhibited in his pastime through, because we saw different uh, personalities in Dhruv Maharaj pastime, his mother, stepmother, father, and Narad Muni. Um, so these challenges are there. And Prabhupada says, there's a very famous quote of Prabhupada where he says that the greatness of a person is determined by his ability to tolerate provoking situations. So for example, we saw the pastime of Draupadi. So she was in such a difficult condition of her life, where in the assembly of men, only men were there, and she was disturbed. And how she could, she had only faith in the Lord, only he could help. So in the scripture, we know so many devotees who have faced such difficulties. So we will also hear such pastime, like where the devotees actually went through so much challenges. So all these things. So, but before, from Dhruv Maharaj pastime, so I want you to tell me that how this 6, things was expressed by one personality from Dhruv Maharaj pastime that I discussed. So as I said that I will be asking questions from Dhruv Maharaj pastime. So here it starts. So whom do you think has, as I explained, lust, greed, illusion, pride, envy. So who actually exhibited that from Dhruv Maharaj pastime? Anybody can tell the name? Or yeah, Aparna, stepmother, Suruchi, yes, Trinity, yes. Yes, thank you. So these pastimes are there for us to learn and grow. Yes, thank you very much for your responses. So next we will see how can we become grateful in our life. So these things will also become a practical day-to-day life for us. Like these things we have to imbibe in us. So then being grateful even at tough times, even at difficult times, it becomes so natural and easy for us to be grateful. We will be able to overcome those challenges by following all these things. So we will see one by one how, because we all face challenges, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita how happiness and distress, it keeps coming, like the seasons, summer and winter, it keeps coming. So we are facing challenges and we will be facing. So let us learn, let us know how to deal with the challenges. So one is that we focus on the positive, and the other is we deal with the negative. So I've made an acronym for this focus. So I'll see, we will go through this. So the focus is like we find happiness and fulfillment. And then, so these are for the tough times, for the challenging times in our life where we are not heard of, where we feel that we are abandoned, or we are not, our own lovable people are different to us. So we face so many challenges. So these things are for the challenging times. So we seek opportunities, see choices, ultimate goal and upliftment. S, seek guidance, and we seek guidance from scriptures and the devotees as well. And then we deal with the negatives, deal difficulty and distractions, we deal with it. We deal with our emotions, we deal with our expectation, we deal with our anxiety, we deal with the losses, our loved ones, or somebody leaves us, and then career loss. So we face so many things, right? So yes, so we will see how this is being addressed by the devotees. So when we focus so much on the problem, we end up having more problem, don't you think? Like we focus so much on problem, like we not solution oriented, mostly we are indulging ourselves, we are carried away by the problems, so we end up more problems. When we focus on the possibilities, we get opportunities of how to resolve that problem. So we have to shift our focus from what we lack to what we already have, what is there in our, quota, what is there with us. So we have to deal with that first. So, and yes, so if we are grateful for what we have already, so we will be given more opportunity to be grateful for. So the first, finding happiness and fulfillment. So we don't take uh, emotional decision, we don't take permanent decision based on temporary problems. Like these days we see how divorces are so common. So maybe it would be a love marriage, but still they're not able to take the differences, they're not able to give up on certain things, and like we want immediate relief, so we make a permanent decision from temporary problems. We should first deal with the problems, right? So we have to, so how we can do it, we have to think of the good that the person has done to us, the same person. So he had actually done something good also in the past. Maybe this current situation is making him or her to react in certain way. So we should not lose our temperament, and we should, in a calm way, we have to understand why it is happening, why this person is behaving. Maybe the situation is not favorable at this time, right? And then opportunities. So we have to see what this situation has to teach me. So in the pastime of Dhruv Maharaj, so Dhruv Maharaj actually found an opportunity to meditate on the Lord. He got, we saw how he was so angry and furious at his stepmother. So he did not go and jump in a well, or he did not do anything, to harm himself, right? He took that opportunity to meditate, to go to Krishna, right? And then the choices. So whatever decision I have taken, I should be happy with it, first thing. So it does not mean that we become complacent, we don't progress more. Progressing more is good, achieving is good, we become so inspiring for others, definitely. But choices that we make, we should be happy with whatever we have decided already. So how can I be happy with those choices? So the choices are already made, how can I be happy with the choices? Because if the choice is made based properly, based on what based on the scriptures. So again we saw scriptures, uh, how these choices are made. So I'll tell this example from Dhruv Maharaj past time, how Suniti made a choice. So I want to test, like if you can recollect and tell me how, what choice did Suniti made. It may be a generic, so maybe I'll tell, right? So Suniti made a choice of not criticizing Suruchi for her attitude. We saw how Suruchi reacted. Suruchi, expressed all those emotions like lust, anger, greed. So all those things she expressed. But still, Suniti made a choice not to criticize her for her behavior, and she guided Dhruv Maharaj to see the good in her, right? To see it, to not find fault with her. So right, she guided Dhruv Maharaj. So we can't always choose what will happen to us, what happens to us, we can't always choose, but we always have a choice to how to respond to the situation, we know, right? So let us find the ways for the problem. So, and there is one more thing, this how the rich heart is always filled with love and compassion, and the poverty stricken heart is struck with greed, right? So here we saw how the rich heart is expressed by Suniti, love and compassion, and poverty stricken heart by Suruchi, she was struck with greed. And one more thing, this dealing, so dealing with the difficulty and the distraction. So we saw how Dhruv Maharaj very nicely he handled the distraction. He went to the forest, and as you know, the forest is not any easy place or very peaceful. Like he was trying to meditate, but still we know forest, a lot of deadly animals are there, snakes, poisonous venomous snakes are there. So many distractions he had. And then difficulty, he went through a lot of difficulty at. Am I audible? Oh, I'm sorry.
You're muted, Mataji.
Yeah. Yes. You're sorry. Yeah, so yeah, Dhruv Maharaj went through a lot of difficulty, the distractions in the forest, lot of the poisonous snakes, and it was not a peaceful place, forest. And then the emotions. So Suruchi gave a lot of difficulty for Dhruv Maharaj, the behavior, and then his expectation from his father to for that love and affection, and then anxiety. Again, in the forest, he had a lot of anxiety, and he lost his parents, like at the age of 5 he had to be away from the parents. So all these emotions, all these things, Dhruv Maharaj dealt with this with a lot of determination, and he was focused. As we saw, he was focused on all these things. How he could be focused? One is like the focus can be happened because, like I said, all these can be applied in our life. It has to be applied in our life during the tough times. So how do we do it? So we seek guidance. So Dhruv Maharaj did not do it on his own. He got guidance from his mother first, and then Narada Muni. So we also seek guidance from the scripture, from these pastimes, and also we seek guidance from the like-minded people. As you see, like this is IYS Forum, ISKCON Youth Services, where we get to share also. We have, as you know, there is a mentorship program going on where uh, the people who are guiding you, they also face all these challenges, and it's not like they are in a very different platform where they can give solution or give solve your problem instantly. It's not like that. But we go through this, how Dhruv Maharaj went through, like we get uh, solution with Krishna in the center, with our spiritual life as the base, as the foundation. So for any material problem, the solution can always be spiritual. So that's what Sukirti Mataji always says, that how the problem can be material, but the solution is always spiritual. So that's how you get guidance also from IYS or like-minded people, you know. So, and Dhruv Maharaj never forgot his ultimate goal. He was so determined with his desire, like he wants to see Supreme Lord. So the tough times, we seek some guidance, and all these things can be done only with the association of devotees. Because on our own, because we are already filled with negativities during our tough time, during the challenging situation, we are not able to be grateful. Let us be frank, like we can't be, right? So we are filled with negativity, negative emotions, and more negative thoughts also comes and haunt us. So at that time, it is so difficult to say that okay, I'll be grateful. It's not possible. So all this can be guided only. All this can be taken as a baby step to solve the problem. Yeah. So and then we will see how these things has been applied by some of this are applied by the devotees of the Lord. So we will see how Queen Kunti expressed gratitude to Krishna. So Queen Kunti is a very celebrated personality in Mahabharata, and Srila Prabhupada wrote a book, Teachings of Queen Kunti, where so many lessons can be learned by her life. As we know, Queen Kunti lost her husband at a very young age, and she was left with 5 small children, young children, 5 Pandavas. So many difficulties she went through right from young age. And then this is first, and then the Pandavas also, they suffered so much, isn't it, by the Kauravas. They constantly gave troubles to the Pandavas, and Kunti was there, and Krishna was there with them. So Krishna was there throughout the suffering of the Pandavas, and Queen Kunti was able to remember, recollect all those tough times, and she composed so nicely, choicest prayers of these incidents, and she expressed her gratitude. This happens when Krishna was leaving, like the Kurukshetra war is over, and Krishna is leaving back to Dwarka. So that time, Queen Kunti tells Krishna that, please don't leave. So all this while Krishna was there, and still, like she says that such is her attachment towards Krishna. So how did Yeah, Krishna was there with the Pandavas. Yeah, so she was very thankful for the Lord's presence in their life during the difficult time. So gratitude expressed by Queen Kunti, she glorified Krishna, and then she says that she wants to serve Krishna without deviation. So where we saw this focus. So she was praying to Krishna that she wants to be, single pointed attention towards serving him. So she dealt with the challenges, all the dangers that her sons had been put to, and still she focused on Krishna. So whatever the challenge is, we go through it, but we don't lose hope on our life. We don't lose hope on Krishna. We don't lose hope on devotees. We don't lose hope on scriptures, because those are the bases which would anyway it would help us to go through any tough time in our life. So Kunti Maharani says that Krishna, you protected us from poison cake, the great fire. So she remembers each and every difficulty. So we all remember difficulty, why? We want to point others. So you gave me tough time like this. You gave me tough time during this, phase of my life. But Kunti Maharani is remembering all the difficulty to just to offer her gratitude to Krishna, right? So she says that how the 14 years of Vanvas, like when the Pandavas were in exile, so those times Krishna was there. So he was constantly there throughout the Pandavas suffering. So she expresses a gratitude for that. And finally, when Ashwatthama, you know, raised this arrow to kill Parikshit Maharaj. So all those things she remembers. Till last minute, Krishna, you're there. You have constantly been in our life. So she never had any bitterness or complaint. So that's the greatness of Queen Kunti. So we can derive a lot of lessons from her life. So when we focus on the possibilities, we get the more opportunities. So we should never forget this. So Queen Kunti's gratitude, and then we will see another gratitude expressed by in Mahabharat, same by Draupadi. So Draupadi is also a celebrated, devotee from Mahabharat. So she has lot of wonderful qualities. So this particular pastime will also help us to see her, she is very beautiful internally as well as externally. So we will see one more quality expressed by Draupadi here. So as I said, Ashwatthama. So Ashwatthama is the son of Dronacharya. Dronacharya is the guru of the Pandavas as well as the Kauravas. So Ashwatthama had killed all her 5 sons. After the Kurukshetra war, we saw like after the Kurukshetra war, Ashwatthama will kill all the 5 children of Draupadi, the Pandavas, when they were sleeping. Yeah, so Ashwatthama killed all the 5 sons, and Arjuna goes and fights with Ashwatthama and brings him in front of Draupadi. And Draupadi doesn't want Ashwatthama to be killed. She says that Dronacharya is your guru, and I have a lot of gratitude for him, like because he is the guru of Pandavas, Kauravas, so he's such an amazing personality. So we should not kill Ashwatthama because he is Dronacharya's son, our guru's son. And then she says another interesting reason that she gives for not killing Ashwatthama is that how Kripi is the mother of Ashwatthama, wife of Dronacharya. So she says that Kripi will also go through the suffering of losing her son. I lost all my 5 sons. So if we kill Ashwatthama, she will also go through the same suffering. So she was feeling so much empathy for Kripi, Ashwatthama's mother. So how forgiving one person can be. Your 5 sons is gone, and still, how do you think, like, do you think we will be going through a lot more challenges like this? Like, we face challenges, of course, like they all are very great personalities, there's no comparison, but I'm saying the the difficulty or the such provoking situation, like Prabhupada said, the greatness of a person is seen during the provoking situation, how they tolerate. So this is how Draupadi reacted to the whole situation. So she felt a lot of compassion and empathy. So yes, so this is the gratitude expressed by the devotees of the Lord. And then we will see the gratitude expressed by Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, Prabhupada, he traveled to US at the age of 70, and in the in the ship Jaladuta, he suffered through two major heart attacks. And there, like after reaching US also, he went through a lot of challenges because he's so old, and the weather in US, it is so cold, breezy, like it snows and it is so cold, -degree. So Prabhupada physical health was very difficult, like he was not able to take it. But those time, like Prabhupada wrote a very nice prayer to Krishna. So one of those is like one of the prayer was like, my dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. So Prabhupada did not go to US for a tour or to gain, some fame for himself. Prabhupada at the age of 70, he need not go, right? Like he was very happily, he was in Vrindavan. He can just stay, live his life, like how we saw Dhruv Maharaj 36,000 years later, he went to Badrik Ashram. So Prabhupada would have stayed in Vrindavan, happily lived his life, in chanting and glorifying the Lord. He was staying in the temple. So Prabhupada went to US with so much of gratitude that he had received from his guru. So many places, almost everywhere, like Prabhupada always says, my Guru Maharaj instruction. So I came to US. Otherwise, I don't have any job here. So when he received the disciples, all 17, 18-year-old teenagers, he said to them that my Guru Maharaj had sent such nice boys and girls to assist me. So such is the gratitude expressed by Srila Prabhupada. And one of the, we may not be so aware of this person because he was there in the late 60s in the US. His name is George Harrison. So he is from UK and he has composed a lot of songs, albums, and so he's also a follower of Srila Prabhupada. So he has done a lot of funding, and one of his place where we have our ISKCON even center even now. So he had donated so much that Prabhupada had so much gratitude for him, George Harrison, that he sent his finger ring to him, his own finger ring. He sent to him as a gratitude for all the things he had done. Yeah, so such is the gratitude expressed by Srila Prabhupada. And then the most interesting thing is the practical tips. Yes. So before we go to the practical tips, I'd like to share some interesting thing about ISKCON. So this gratitude, if you see in, so I was going through this, psychological fact, or how, because gratitude is a kind of emotion, so how it deals with people, like how it actually impacts our nature. So even in religion, almost all the religion, there is a custom of expressing gratitude. For example, Muslims, they also have this 5 daily prayers, so where they don't ask for things but they express their gratitude to Allah. So similarly, I saw in Jewish also they express their gratitude after waking up, so they express their gratitude for waking up again. So similarly, religion, they all have this nature of expressing their gratitude. So in ISKCON, if you see, Srila Prabhupada has given a morning program, so where we glorify the Lord, we sing songs, bhajans, glorifying the Supreme Lord, appreciating his qualities, his form, everything. And then we have Guru Puja, where we express our gratitude. Again, we offer Aarti, we sing song glorifying the spiritual master, because he is the one who has connected us to the Supreme Lord. So we express our gratitude to the Supreme Lord, to the spiritual master. So also it is said that when we go and take darshan of the Lord, we shouldn't straight away ask for things like, or if we are in difficulty, temple is a place like where we go and cry out our problems and all those things. So, but still, it is said that we should first, when we see the darshan of the Lord, it is not like we only take darshan of the Lord, He also takes darshan of us. So similarly, like when we take darshan of the Lord, first thing is we appreciate the Lord. So maybe for his dressing, like how he's dressed up, his jewels, some specific, things we should appreciate about the Lord, and then we begin our prayer. So that's how it is said. So, and then also we see we offer food to Krishna. So Naivedyam. So we offer food. Again, we say mantra, we offer food. And then when we offer the food as prasadam, that time again we offer mantra. That is to honor that prasadam, Mahaprasad of Krishna. We honor. Again, glorification of Mahaprasad. So this gratitude is so nicely imbibed, at least for whatever number of years I'm in ISKCON. So this is something I've seen and experienced, and I am trying to practically, accept and live in that thing. So expressing gratitude is not like something that we do today and we give a gap, we give a pause, and then we do it some other day. It's not like that. It has to be a practice. So that's when it will help us during the tough times. So, and Prabhupada always emphasizes like how we should always be grateful to Krishna, because he has given so much. So, and he also says that how beasts, birds, they cannot express gratitude to Krishna, but human beings, we can recognize things and we can really appreciate. We have got developed consciousness. We must feel grateful for God's mercy and offer our gratitude. So that is our duty, Prabhupada says. Yeah. So yes, now going to the practical things. So I would request you, I think 7:40, so still we have some time. So I want you to take a minute and think and write at least 2 things today, what you are grateful for. Specific, very specific. Whatever happened today, what are you grateful for? If anything happened, it can be even one. Sindhu, this session, thank you. Oh, Srindri, this session. I feel so grateful and privileged. Thank you very much. Oh, this is not fair. Everybody are feeling so grateful for the session. I want you to think in your life, people in your life, family, food, session, life. Yes, thank you, Dia, part of the session. Thank you very much. Yes. So, before I share the practical tips, I want to tell something that happened with me today. So today morning, 7 o'clock, I was coming to my home. I was outside and I was coming to my home, and there was a dog. So this dog is in one of my neighbor's place, and I go there often. So this dog always barks at me. Thank you very much, Priya. So this dog always barks at me, and it has very big teeth, and it don't just leave with barking. So it is tied to a chain, and it always, whenever I pass, it always, almost it comes and it wants to grab me or bite me. So that's how it comes. So I was so scared of this dog. Still, like, I can see that it is tied, so I'm not so worried. So I still go and come. So today morning, I was coming down from my neighbor's place, and this dog, I did not notice that it is not tied. So I was looking at my phone, I was just seeing, and it just ran towards me, and I did not see it. So it was coming in a very fast way because it is not tied. So it has seen me many times. So you can imagine how furious like it would have been. So it was coming, and it was just onto me, and I realized that there is a dog in front of me. This dog is there. And I shouted, I screamed, Gauranga. I screamed. And there was the boy who takes care of this dog. He was just brushing his teeth. He was beside me and I was here, and the dog is just on me. And it was just going here. I was stunned. And this boy immediately he stepped over the chain and he pulled the chain and he, saved me from the dog. And then I was thinking, like, how, like, if if he was not there, or if I was not looking at my phone, I would have just directly looked into the dog, and I would have, tried to do something which would have, in turn made the dog to, react in certain way. So nothing happened. And it was so, like, I was not at all, like no little harm on me. I was not hurt. But then the owner of that house, he said that, next time when you come, you just see like whether the dog is tied or not. So but then I was thinking, because I've been thinking on Kunti Maharani's pastime, how she was able to recollect the, difficult times, and she could offer prayers of gratitude. So I've been thinking that how it is so practical. Because see, the session can be of anything. Like, I can give so many examples from scriptures, and we may end up saying that it is from scriptures and they all are so great personalities, and I am in this world, and I have my suffering, and I'm not such a human, such a superhuman, so we may say, right? So I've been thinking that how it be practical, how. And then when this thing happened in the morning, I was thinking that how actually in our life we've been saved from so many calamities, from so many difficulty. We've been saved actually. We may not realize it. Maybe from an accident, maybe a fraction of second. So this all happened actually in a fraction of second. So after this only I realized, yes, there are times that we actually face difficulties and we overcome it, like by the Lord's mercy. So it happens. So yes, so we also, I'm sure like you also would have so many such instances where we can think and be grateful for that. So yes, going through the practical tips. So I want you to write a gratitude journal. So it is not like, we write stories and then we forget, some interesting thing and then we forget. It's not like that. So every night before we go to sleep, 15 minutes before we go to bed, we write 3 specific, because so many of you told, so family. So you said family in general, but I want you to be very specific. For example, in the beginning, we had a poll where I asked, like, your mother cooked something that you liked. Did you thank? So, and then career advice. So, all these things. So, very specific things that whoever come across in your life. So, they may not be very, maybe somebody in the road you met, somebody being very kind to you. So, anything that you feel that you felt happy, being the receiver, so you felt happy, so that thing has to go in this diary. It's not a paper where you use and throw. It has to be a diary. You have to maintain it every night before bed, minimum 3. And then, so there are times that we are not happy about things, or about whatever happens, the situation, we are not so happy about it, or not so happy about some people, the way they reacted. So we have to write that also down. At least one thing, one incident that you felt, this person really annoyed me, or this person is so bad, is so mean to me. So whatever you feel, so write it down. And not just that, you have to see that if that incident that caused me pain or that hurt me, does where does it fall in, like, because I'm reacting, right? I'm reacting to that person or that situation. How am I reacting to it? We saw these 6 challenges: lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and envy. So these 6 challenges. So does my reaction to that situation or person fall in any of these? Am I bound by any one of these in responding or in reacting to that person or situation? So you have to see. So this is a checklist. So where we see that, and we correct ourselves. Always remember, the change has to happen within. The change has to come from your end, and then we can see the change in others. Because see, so many times we have so much expectation, and don't we, like, we have to realize that the other person from where we are expecting, he or she also has similar expectation, isn't it? For example, a mother wants the child to finish the meal, whatever she packs and gives to the school. She wants the son or daughter to finish it because it gives nourishment to the child. But then the child feels it is boring, same thing every day. It is boring, I cannot eat so much, right? So that the expectation from the child is, I want different, unique varieties, mostly sweets, isn't it? So expectation differs. So we can't have expectation for others and just wait for others to fulfill that. So it's not going to happen that way. Let us be the change we want to see in others. So make gratitude a practice. Gratitude takes practice. By practice we become grateful. So gratitude takes practice, and make gratitude our attitude. So then it is easier to live in gratitude. So we associate with IYS girls. We have this IYS mentorship program. We associate, we seek guidance, and attending sessions like this will help us deal with the negativities. And then always remember, we are in this journey together. So it's not like you are only facing the difficulty, I am also facing. So we seek guidance from each other. We address the issue together, right? And do remember, it's not the happy people who are thankful, but it's the thankful people who are happy. So if we want to be happy, we have to be thankful for what we already have. So gratitude is a choice. So we should consciously make the choice of being grateful. Yes, and gratitude can turn meal to a feast. So let us not postpone gratitude. Let us make gratitude our habit. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna.